We are so pleased to have the amazing, gentle Heron here today. She is the SL expert on accessibility and will be sharing a great deal to help you with your project. She is a great friend of VWEC, and we so appreciate her time this morning to help us with the student. Gentle is a former educator who now works with people with a wide range of disabilities within the virtual ability community to help them enter and use virtual worlds comfortably. We will be both in voice and text as best we can today, and Val will be doing a recording. Thank you for being here, Gentle, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ellie. Hello, students. I'm really glad to see that you're interested in accessibility. It is a passion of mine, as Ellie said. I'm going to give you some links during this presentation, and I hope you will click them when they appear in the chat, and you can bookmark them to look at them later on. You won't need to look at them right now. I'm also going to ask you some quick questions, and you're welcome to respond either in voice or text. And then after the questions, I'll give you some suggestions. So here's the first quick question. Do you think it will be important that your work in Second Life be accessible? And you can answer yes or no. Lucia says yes. Dana says yes. Pasca says yes. Laura says yes. Looks like we've got a lot of yeses. I think this was a requirement for this challenge, so yes is the correct answer. I hope everyone who works in a virtual world thinks about accessibility, because it's really important everywhere, whether it's a physical or a virtual environment. They all need to be accessible. But what does accessibility mean? Do we need handicapped parking spaces in Second Life? Do we need grab bars in the toilet stalls in Second Life? Of course we don't. We don't even need parking spaces or toilets in Second Life. So what is accessibility in a virtual world all about? To answer that question, we have to think about who needs a virtual world to be accessible. So we're on quick question number 2, and there's going to be 4 different parts to this question. Here are some people for you to consider. Are any of them going to need special accessibility accommodations if they're in Second Life? And person A is a person who is paralyzed. Person B is a person who is an arm amputee, and person C has glasses. So which of these people do you think need accessibility in Second Life? Uh-oh, Renuka and Dana don't agree. Renuka says A, Dana says B. Lucia says all. Well, there seems to be some disagreement about this one. I would suggest that all of these people do need accessibility in Second Life. So here's the second part of this question. Some more people for you to consider. Are any of these people going to need special accessibility accommodations in Second Life? And D is a person who is blind. E is a person who is a leg amputee. And F is a person who is deaf and is using sign language. So which, if any of those people, would need to be accommodated in Second Life? Dana says D and F, but not E. Do you agree or disagree with Dana? Lucia agrees. Pasca agrees. Laura agrees. Ole agrees. Yeah, so likely although person E, who is a leg amputee, might need accessibility in the physical world, they might not need it in the virtual world. So here's the third part. 3 more people to consider. Are any of these people going to need special accessibility accommodations in Second Life? Person G has arthritis. Person H is colorblind. And person I has seizures. Would any of those people need special accommodations? Maybe thinks I would. Oh, several people think all of them would. Any other ideas? And Ole also thinks all. And I'm going to agree it's pretty much all of them. Although I think the person with seizures, you read about that sometimes, about people with seizures having trouble in virtual reality. So here's the last part of question 2. The last 3 people to consider. Are any of these people going to need special accessibility accommodations in Second Life? Letter J is a non-English speaker. K is a person with cognitive impairment. And L is a person with vertigo. Would any of those need a special accommodation? Dana and Raluca say all. And she is agreeing. Looks like we're pretty much agreed on this one. Aren't these really quite different needs when you start thinking about them? Aren't they really very different needs? That's the hard part for you guys. When you think about that people have so many different needs and you have to accommodate them all. So now I'd like to share with you some theory and some practical suggestions. The theory that applies here is called universal design. And you can click, there's a box down below my feet here, you can click that, and there's a note card in there that will tell you more about universal design, if you need that. There are 7 principles to universal design, and they are listed on the slide. Equitable use, flexibility in use, simple and intuitive use, perceptible information, tolerance for error, we want that from all of our instructors, low physical effort, size and space for approach and use. I'm going to explain each of these just in one short sentence. Equitable use means everyone can use it regardless of their level of ability. Flexibility means offering more than one way to use or access something. Simple means making sure that how to use something is obvious. Perceptible means that you can get the information through your eyes or your ears or your sense of touch. Tolerance for error means to make things easy to touch or see so that people don't make mistakes. Low physical effort helps people who fatigue easily. And size and space will help us include both small and large avatars. I don't see any elephant avatars in the audience. Did you know that universal design helps other people besides the people who have disabilities? For example, virtual ability members always give their presentations in both text and voice. Why do we do that? Because some of our members are completely deaf and others of our members are completely blind. But text plus voice is also good because it's a lot easier to understand a language that is not your native language from text than it is to try and understand it from audio. So a flexibility adaptation that benefits deaf and blind people also happens to be helpful for persons whose first language isn't English. And that's part of the beauty of universal design. The point of the image on this slide is, if you treat everyone equally, that sounds good, but some people still won't be able to perform adequately. You see that on the bottom left picture. To address this problem, you can either provide individual accommodations, like the picture on the bottom right, or you can make your product accessible to everybody. And of course, accessibility is the preferred method. So now I'm going to try and give you some practical advice. Simplify everything. Simplify your bills. Provide room to maneuver. Use ramps instead of stairs. Don't put seats back up against the walls, because that puts the seated person's point of view outside the wall, and they won't see what's going on inside. Avoid flashes and spins, because those induce seizures and vertigo. You also want to simplify your message. Use simple common terms, and if you have to use technical terms, please define them. Use simple sentence structure. If a 10-year-old could understand what you've written, then that's probably a good message. Name objects. Blind people see the world because they're looking at the names of items around them. The default name of what you build in Second Life is object. If everything around you is named object, how will you know which is the door to walk through, which is the chair to sit on, and which is the book to pick up? This is one of my favorite slides. Make text information accessible. Choose a sans serif font, and I suggest Arial, Helvetica, Proxima Nova, Futura, or Calibri. There is also a really nice dyslexia font, and that's that link right there. You can click that underlined link and save it for later. The dyslexia font works very well for people with reading difficulty or visual difficulty. And pay attention to color contrast in your text. And there is another link that will help you to get the color contrast so that it's most easy to read. Again, you can click that underlined link and bookmark it for later. It also helps to stick with one font. Don't get all fancy and use a bunch of different fonts. Use multiple types of communication. That's the flexibility bit again. If you are presenting, it helps to use both text and voice, if that's possible. And you'll get a copy of the tool that I'm using to put the text out while I'm speaking in the box by my feet. There are other ways to do it, but this is simple. Please don't try out that tool right now. It's a HUD. It's called Speak Easy. You add the HUD to your avatar, and it attaches on the inside of your computer screen at the top left. Nobody else can see it. It will type into local chat the text that you put into the Speak Me note card, and you put it in one sentence at a time. You can practice with it later. I recommend that if you're doing a speaking part of your presentation. Thank you for your attention today. I want to give you one more link to bookmark. It's right there. It's part of the wiki for Second Life, and it has lots of information about accessibility. You're going to find out not only some solutions to particular accessibility problems that some of the people we saw on those question 2 slides with different kinds of disabilities, but there is a section that is particular for folks like you that is titled Accessibility Suggestions for Builders, Creators, and Sim Designers. I think you'll find that very useful. If, as you're preparing for the Student Challenge, you come across an accessibility problem or an issue that you don't know what you can do to deal with it, please don't hesitate to send an email to info@virtualability, which is all one word, .org. That's my community. And we'll try to help you create as accessible a build as you can manage.